What's going on, guys? Jeff Iafrate and Lukas Klotz here to break down something I saw recently, and it's being suggested. We've already talked about it before, but it's the idea of a big trade for the Lions. And it's not trading for a player, it's trading away a player. And that player is Taylor Decker. And Mike Payton, who does great work, A to Z Sports, and you can follow him on Twitter or X, I guess. But he put out an article basically discussing an idea from an NFL analyst he works for, The Athletic. And he suggested that the Lions trade Taylor Decker to the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's take a look at the article here. So it says NFL analyst believes the Lions should trade Taylor Decker to the Chiefs, why it's not the worst idea in the world, and what they could get for him. All right, so he goes into it, and I want to get the quote here from the actual quote. So it says, and Robert Mays of The Athletic. So he says, another guy I mentioned with Kansas City and just teams that need a left tackle in general, I'd sniff around Taylor Decker. That says Dicker in here. If I were one of the teams as a trade candidate, yeah, he's getting a little older. This team, Lions, has spent big on a lot of extensions. Recently, they traded up for a fourth-round developmental left tackle last year.
Your guy.
Giovanni Manu. So they've got some guys potentially in the pipeline. It might be a little bit quick for that, because I think he was really a developmental player when they traded for him. And he says, but that's a call I would make if I was a team that needed a left tackle and I swung and missed on Ronnie Stanley, just because it feels like there's going to be a moment where they have to move on from Decker, given the price tag and given his age. With all the other things that they're going to have to spend money on over here the next couple of years, they would save $22 million against the cap next year if they traded for 2026, if they traded for Taylor Decker. It's a phone call I would make if I wanted these teams. So, and there's another thing they talked about. Here's the actual video, which I guess we could play it.
The other guy I'd mentioned with Kansas City and just teams that need a left tackle in general, I'd sniff around Taylor Decker if I were one of these teams.
As a trade candidate?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's getting a little older.
Mm-hmm.
This team has spent big on a lot of extensions recently. They traded up for that fourth-round developmental left tackle last year, Manu. I can't remember his first name. So they've got some guys potentially in the pipeline. It might be a little bit quick for that because I think he was really a developmental player when they traded for him. But that's a call I would make if I was a team that needed a left tackle here and I swung and missed on Ronnie Stanley, just because it feels like there's going to be a moment where they might have to move on from Decker given the price tag and given his age with all the other things that they're having to spend money on here over the next couple of years. They would save $22 million against the cap next year if they traded for 2026, if they traded Taylor Decker now. So it's a phone call I would make if I were one of these teams. That's all I'll say.
I had not considered that at all, but if we're going to do what I talked about on the last show, where it's like, if you're the Lions, you kind of just got to do stuff that will keep the roster healthy and keep the window open. That's something that kind of clears up a lot of space for you, and you can kind of move into a new chapter before it's too late. So I haven't thought about it much, but I'm keeping tabs on it now.
All right, so I'll start. By the way, credit Mike Payton. He put out the article, and obviously that video is from those guys. I'll say this because I like Gio. I like his upside. The Lions drafted him. They traded up to get him. He's massive. He's still developing. But the problem is, and when we talked about this prior, because we've had this discussion, and I want to get to what you think about this, because you have other ideas, which I'm actually not completely opposed to. But if you're going to trade Decker, in my opinion, you don't trade Decker unless you have the solution. Mm-hmm. You can't make a move you can't do A without knowing what B looks like. And if you trade Decker, Manu, we don't even know if he could play left tackle. We don't even know if he's good. Like, I like his upside, but to me, this would be idiotic for the Lions to save money, to trade away a guy who's a top 15 tackle. I know last year he was up and down, but this, to me, you're in a Super Bowl window. You're going to trade away a veteran left tackle to protect Jared Goff's blind side. To me, it doesn't make any sense right now. But if you're telling me there's a solution, you got to give me the solution. And Klotz, you may have a solution.
Oh, I do. Hefe, we both know, we both can acknowledge that Giovanni Manu should not be starting at any point during next season for the Detroit Lions. He is not ready, and they're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
So you're completely right. One, you're not starting Giovanni Manu at tackle, because the whole conversation about when they drafted Manu is he was playing left tackle in British Columbia in Canada, And he's probably going to have to be moved to guard because when you look at left tackle compared to guard, where is there more of a learning curve? Definitely at left tackle. But I got a solution for you. Where did Taylor Decker go to college, Hefe?
He's a Buckeye.
He's a Buckeye. I happen to be a big Ohio State Buckeyes fan, so I've been a Taylor Decker supporter for a little while now. But over the last 2-3 seasons, it has definitely faded away because I think when you look at Taylor Decker, this is just kind of over the last 3 years, probably the worst football that we've seen out of Taylor Decker. And that doesn't mean that Taylor Decker is ass. He's a bum, but he's not getting any better. And they just re-signed to an extension worth $20 a year. And I see that, and that is not worth the money, in my opinion. And when you look at this year's NFL draft, there is a perfect scenario that I don't know the Detroit Lions could possibly be in again or the rest of the NFL for a really long time. And that is a premier left tackle falling late in the draft. And where did I say I'm a fan of? Taylor Decker went? Ohio State. Where is this tackle coming out of? Ohio State. And that is Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons, when you turn on the tape and you just look at the rest of the NFL draft, without a doubt, the number 1 ranked pure left tackle. I understand that he had an injury at Ohio State, so there's some concerns about the injury, and that's why he's falling. If Josh Simmons did not get hurt, he would be a lock for a top 5 pick in this draft. I know Membu's going up boards a lot after the combine. Will Campbell's been mocked to the Patriots. You see those two guys. Josh Simmons would be mocked to the Patriots every time at that 4th overall pick to Mike Vrabel to protect Drake May, unless somehow a situation like Abdul Carter falls there, and you wouldn't be mad at him. But when you look at Josh Simmons, he can do everything. He's athletic. He's good against run blocking, good against pass pro. He's good at everything. And the other thing that's very ideal about this whole situation is Josh Simmons transferred to Ohio State. He went from San Diego State where he's playing right tackle and he was inconsistent. He lands in Columbus. Mm-hmm. They say, hey, I know you played right tackle, but we're going to try you out on the left side, the left tackle, to protect Will Howard, the guy that we're paying a lot of NIL money to lead block for Quinshon Judkins, who we're paying a lot of NIL money to, and get us to a national championship. And when he was healthy, again, the best player outside of maybe Jeremiah Smith on the Ohio State Buckeyes offense. Jeremiah Smith, if he would have came out this year, he probably would have been a top 5 pick too. But you look at Josh Simmons, you put Josh Simmons, you can put either Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany, whichever one you want right next to him, Frank Ragnow. Again, if they bring back Zeitler, if you want to put Mahogany, you got 3 guards that could potentially be at the guard spot. And then Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, Josh Simmons for the next 5 to 7 years is the best tackle duo in the NFL, in my opinion. And not to mention, you're getting insanely cheaper on the offensive line because you look at Frank Ragnow. He probably only has a year or 2 left. If he might even retire after the end of this season. So you're going to have to find a solution for Frank Ragnow. Graham Glasgow and Kevin Zeitler, both of those guys are going to be gone pretty soon. So you're going to have to be replacing a lot of this offensive line. Go ahead and cut ties with some of these players now. In my opinion, Taylor Decker is the perfect one to, because the Lions in the draft can move up for a guy like Josh Simmons if he starts to fall. If not, you can sit back there at 28, take a guy like Gray Zabel, because what does he play? Tackle and center. Where are the lines? We just talked about Frank Ragnow, just about Taylor Decker. I'm not as big on Zabel, but he gives you some flexibility for team needs. But if I'm watching Josh Simmons fall, we saw Brad Holmes go up 20-plus spot for Jamison Williams, a wide receiver out of Alabama who tore his ACL. You know he wasn't going to be ready for the start of the next season. Josh Simmons is going to be ready for the start of the next season. You can put him in at left tackle, and I would not be surprised at all if year 1 he's a Pro Bowl type of tackle. So I'd be all for trading Taylor Decker to Kansas City, to New England. There's a bunch of spots that need Taylor Decker, and bringing in Josh Simmons to make the offensive line cheaper and more younger, where you can put more money in other spots for this team.
Yeah, I love Josh Simmons, and I know people, when they think about it, they're like, oh, but you have to really think. If you have Josh Simmons on a rookie contract and Penei Sewell, you have one of the best tackle duos in the NFL. Now, here's the thing. I think both can happen. I think you can draft Josh Simmons, allow him, again, this season, he'll be ready for the season. But I think it's tricky when you trade Decker, because I think Decker's a guy that it's either Detroit for him or he retires. I don't think he has much interest go. Maybe the Chiefs would change his mind. Who knows? Yeah. But he seems like a guy who just doesn't. He wants to be here. He loves the city, loves the state, loves the team. You know, he's probably not interested in going anywhere else. But if Brad were to do something like this, I'd prefer you just keep Decker, and then you could trade him either after the draft, because you have to know you're getting Josh Simmons first. You have to know you're getting him. You can't trade him before the draft and he goes top 8. You're like, shit. You know, we got to draft someone else. So this would happen post-draft anyway. And I think it'd be more likely that they keep Decker even with a Josh Simmons than they do trade away Decker and then just roll with Josh Simmons, because there always is a risk with any young left tackle that they're going to struggle. Now, I don't think Josh would be probably one of the exceptions, but it is risky. What we know with Taylor Decker is when he's healthy, he's top 15. He's solid. Now, when he's banged up, gets hurt, things happen. Like you said, he's not getting any better. He's getting older, but at least
back-to-back season, giving up 8 sacks, and this season he missed 3 games. Last season he was more healthy. So that's where it's just like,
yeah, you're getting to that point with him where Brad's you're at kind of a crossroad where do you want to just continue to pay him and let him start at left tackle, or do you want to find someone to replace him? The point is, I don't think Gio's ready. So you got to give me an answer now, and maybe that answer is Josh Simmons. You guys comment down below what you think of the article and the idea of trading away a guy like Taylor Decker sooner than later. I think it's probably better to trade him away next year. But again, maybe you guys disagree with that. Check us out, live show, 8 to 10 p.m. We're live weekdays, Monday through Friday. You can subscribe. Check us out, our merchandise, officialctsports.com. You get stuff like this hat. You got hoodies, shirts, everything's on there. Appreciate you all for the support, and we will catch you next time.
peace.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.